Thank you for watching In Any Arena. If you like the content that we're producing, give us that CLS treatment, that comment, like, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it.
But now I want to talk to you about a position I played, the top 5 wide receivers.
Okay.
So, I mean, we already know, we already have an affinity. You play quarterback, I play receiver for,
Yep.
certain players. So I want to hear it. You start bottom to top, top to bottom, whatever,
Okay.
and,
Okay.
and go through your top 5. And if you got to do an honorable mention, that's cool because I got a couple guys listed here that I got to call out, even though I don't have them in my top 5.
You know, as you can see, you all, I'm in transit. Just left the office, so stuck in traffic and wasn't able to hop on my laptop real quick to stream this. But we dedicated to this channel, and you know, by any means necessary, we gonna make it happen. So,
Sure.
with that being said, I don't have my list of receivers in front of me, but I'm gonna go top of the dome because when you watch the game enough, you're able to deduce who's going to do what this season. So I'm gonna give you my top 5. I don't have any audible mentions because again, I don't have any paper in front of me while I'm driving. But at number 5, I'm going to go with Deandre Hopkins.
We're taking a quick intermission to watch this route that DeAndre Hopkins ran on D'Angelo Hall, which ultimately ended his career. Watch this shit. Oh my God. He literally just ended that man's career. Like he said, he don't fear nobody but God, and that route showed that he definitely don't fear anyone but God. But all right, let's get back into it.
And the reason why I list DeAndre Hopkins at number 5 is that he's not the best route runner in the league. We all know that. But D Hops, for some odd reason, can make something out of nothing. The guy's extremely fast. Although he's in the latter part of his career, he's still able to put up big numbers. And as you can see at the end of last season when he got hurt, how it impacted the team dynamic out there in Arizona. So with the fully healthy DeAndre Hopkins, with a newly signed Kyler Murray in Arizona, I can see him possibly putting up approximately 1,200 receiving yards this season, probably 10 touchdowns. So,
I
the
will say, Dub, you do know that he's suspended. I think it's the first 6 games
oh,
that
the
DeAndre
performance
Hopkins is
enhancing
out.
drugs, yeah, the performance
Yeah,
enhancing drugs.
so
But I,
hold on
but
with that
still,
1,200. Well, let's wait a second.
okay, let's. I'm still gonna put him as a top 5 receiver, y'all. I'm
Okay.
put him as a top 5 receiver. So I retract my statement about the 1,200 yards. I'm really surprised his name came up with the whole performance enhancement drugs, the PEDs. But anything can spark one of those,
Yeah, it's
negative
a
or
wild
positive
range.
tests. Yeah, it can be anything. So, with that being said, I still have him at a strong 5.
Okay.
Number 4, I am going to say Michael Thomas. And the reason why I put him at number 4, because as I mentioned previously in another video, up to 2020, prior to the ankle injury, the guy had 4 consecutive seasons of 1,000 plus receiving yards. The guy is big in stature. He's about 6'4", 6'5". He's a superb route runner. And then you have Jameis Winston coming back off the ACL injury, and his recovery is going well based on some of the YouTube clips that I've seen, as well as Instagram posts that I've seen. So we could be expecting to see Jameis Winston back by at least week 4, week 5.
For
I'm just
sure.
throwing an arbitrary number out there, but he looks very well into his recovery from that injury. So I can foresee Michael Thomas being that primary target. And one of the things that came about during the offseason is the acquisition of Jarvis Landry. So with Jarvis Landry kind of taking some of the pressure off Michael Thomas, is really going to open up the field for him, and it would enable him to have a pretty big season if they can get the ball over to him. So I have Michael Thomas at number 4. Number 3, see, this is where it gets really dicey because there are a lot of great receivers in the league currently, but I'm going to have to put Cooper Kupp at number 3. Triple Crown, led the league in receiving yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, and receptions in 2021-2022 season. The guy is a superb route runner. He has a very instinctive mindset when he's out there on the field, and that came from last offseason with him and Matt Stafford developing some continuity during minicamp and other um, throughout the season practices and such. Then, he's a Super Bowl winner as well. So when you look at his skill set in its totality, I think Cooper Kupp is a solid number 3 option. And another thing about Cooper Kupp, a lot of people, and let's go ahead and say it, I'm gonna let the cat out the hat or out the bag. A lot of people like to not categorize white athletes as being athletic. They like to use the term high motor. Cooper Kupp is freakishly athletic and he's sneaky fast. So, with that being said, the guy is a stud. I have him at number 3, and he could go to that number 2 spot depending on how well he performs this season, which I think he will in fact do well. So, I have him at number 3. And then number 2, this is where it gets dicey. And I look at some of the blockbuster trades that happen. I'm going to have to put the cheetah
Okay.
Tyreek Hill at number 2. And this is why. He is oftentimes underrated. And what I mean by that is he makes Patrick Mahomes look better than what he really is. Patrick
Ooh,
Mahomes is a stellar quarterback. Stellar quarterback. But how many times has Tyreek Hill saved Patrick Mahomes over the past 4 seasons? I ran out of fingers because that's what he does, and his yards after catch are
crazy.
it's crazy. It's crazy. So for me, as I pick these top 5 individuals, it's more than just what they've done for me lately. It's about their entire portfolio of work over the past few years. And so I know you're going to have a lot to say about my picks because I already know who you are going to pick within your top 5. But we'll get to that a little momentarily. So I have the cheetah at number 2. Number 1, you ready for it? Drum
I'm
roll.
ready.
I got Stefon Diggs.
Ooh,
Stefon
okay.
Diggs at number 1, time and time again, season after season, he has proven that he is that go-to target on any team, double team, triple team. The guy know how to get open and catch the ball, and he runs
For sure.
very crisp routes. He's one of the best route runners in the league. And
He
so when you
is.
have Josh Allen, when you have Sanders, and then you have another piece there as well in Buffalo. It's going to
Gabe Davis.
enable
Gabriel
who's that?
Davis.
Gabriel Davis. It's going to enable him to get some of those one-on-one matchups that he's looking for, and he's going to capitalize on them. And he
For
actually
sure.
has a quarterback that can get him the ball. So with that being said, I have Stefon Diggs, I have Tyreek Hill, I have Cooper Kupp, I have Michael Thomas, and then I have DeAndre Hopkins, top 5. Now, I already know your honorable mentions. These are my honorable mentions. Yeah, I said I didn't have any, but I have 2. I have Justin Jefferson, and then I have my guy out in Cincinnati,
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
I cannot put them in the top 5 because they haven't had as much experience as my 5 that I mentioned here a few moments ago. Will they propel themselves into that top 5 category within the next 2 years? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, these guys are dangerous. Those LSU guys out there playing, they're playing bully ball, man. The guys are quick, they run great routes, they're young, and they are the future face of the league. So
For
I'll turn
sure.
it over to you, but those are my top 5 and
Okay.
honorable mentions.
Okay. That I'm. It's hard to argue with any of the picks you made. Some of those guys are on my list, and all of those guys are top 10, top 15 receivers in the league without question. I think for me, I have to start with the honorable mentions. So the first guy I'm going to mention is not a receiver at all. He's a tight end, Travis Kelsey. So as you said about Cheetah,
We talking
and
about receivers, man.
we're talking about receivers, but Travis
We're not talking about tight ends. This is a separate conversation.
Travis Kelsey has to
Oh
be
my God.
an honorable mention with receivers simply off of the numbers that he puts up. You got a guy who had 13 touchdowns last year, over 1,100 yards, almost 100 receptions, 564 yards after catch. Something that you brought up when you mentioned Tyreek Hill. The astonishing thing is that he has over 100 more yards after catch than Tyreek Hill does. So I have to have him as an honorable mention when it comes to these receivers. The next guy that I'm going to mention as an honorable mention here is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson had over 1,600 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns, playing with Kirk Cousins in a Minnesota offense. So it's right. He's right on the border there for me of being, a top 5 receiver. He's right there at the cusp, and somebody who I look, as you said, to continue to be a guy that makes strides and goes down as one of the greatest receivers in at least in his generation. I think he has that type of talent when it comes to his route running, and he has speed that could put him in a position to be one of those guys. Now, at number 5, I've got to put my guy, Jamar Chase. Now, I would say to me, going into this season, Jamar Chase will be my number 1 receiver, but I'm going to say again that, I'm going to acknowledge your point that he has only did this for 1 season. After he does this again this season, then he's going to be my number 1 receiver. And I did say after he does this, because the first thing is that these guys can't tackle him. So I don't know what guys are going to do to game plan to go back and figure out how to tackle this guy, but they can't today. This guy had over 8 plays for 40 plus yards, which is the only other receiver that has more than that is Cooper Kupp, over 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns on the season. He was the rookie of the year for the NFL, and he had the single season record for a playoff game for a rookie. So this guy's done it time and time again. In that season, in that short period of time, he was to me the best receiver outside of Cooper Kupp last season. So I'm just looking for him to be consistent and do that again. At number 4, I've got to put Keenan Allen. So from 2007 to 2021, Keenan Allen had over 1,000 yards every season, with the exception of 2020, where he maybe was 5 yards off of 1,000 yards. So I got to put Keenan Allen there. He's underrated. The guy's one of the best route runners there is. And now he's got Justin Herbert, a great young quarterback on the rise. If you have a healthy Mike Williams opposite Keenan Allen this season, I think that we finally see, what his true potential is. Justin Herbert's coming into his own, really earning that offense. And the AFC West is packed with talent. You got all of the quarterbacks with Russell Wilson, transitioning over to the Denver Broncos. So the AFC West is going to be exciting. And I see Keenan Allen as one of those playmakers who's going to make it that much better. And number 3, I've got to put Stefon Diggs. So, Stefon Diggs is a great route runner. He had over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns on a team that, was, again, a couple seconds away from making it to an AFC championship. The Bills are going to be one of the best teams in the AFC overall this year, and that goes through Stefon Diggs. So he's a playmaker, a great route runner, great speed. We've seen him do this in Minnesota as well with Kirk Cousins. So now he's got Josh Allen, one of the biggest arms in the league, and I think we're only going to continue to see Stefon Diggs climb the ladder. At number 2, this was so hard, like you said. When you get to 1 through 3, it gets really tough. But at number 2, I gotta put Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams is the route running king. I mean, we've seen what he's been able to do with Aaron Rodgers. I can't wait to see what he does with Derek Carr again in that stacked AFC West, where you got so much talent this year and so much excitement around how that division is going to shake up. Devonte Adams, for the Raiders, has got to be there. When you look at Devonte Adams, he's had 29 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. So last year he had 10 touchdowns and he didn't even play in all 17 games. The year before he had 18 touchdowns. Okay, so I'm really interested to see what they're going to do in that division. He's a high pointer, catches the ball at his highest point. Like I said, route running king, good speed. That's my number 2 guy. Number 1, who could argue with it? Cooper Kupp. We've seen him do it with Jared Goff. We've seen him do it now with Matt Stafford. Almost 2,000 yards last season. 50 yards away from 2,000 yards. 18 touchdowns, 16 touchdowns, a Super Bowl ring, 30 plays of 20-plus yards, 9 plays of 40-plus yards. So when we talk about stretching the field, there's Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. Other guys are stretching the field, but not the way these guys are. Cooper Kupp, again, Mr. Triple Crown. To me, the best receiver coming into 2022 on a stacked Rams team that should be looking to win the NFC West again. Honorable mention I did leave out that I wanted to call out is my boy Deandre Hopkins. So I had to bounce back to my honorable mentions. He is going to sit out 6 games this season, so I don't have him in my top 5, really only for that reason specifically. But from 2017 to 2020, 1,100 plus yards in every season. Again, one of the top route runners in the game, crazy speed. Everybody has seen the highlight clip of him and D'Angelo Hall in preseason, and what
I don't
happened?
fear no man but God. I don't fear no man but God. That ended his career, bro. It ended his
It ended his
career.
career. So we see what talking crazy to DeAndre Hopkins, how you can end up talking crazy to him.
Crazy word.
And,
You
and,
talk crazy, you get crazy word.
right. And even more with that stat I just gave you, for a couple of those years, he was in Houston with Will Fuller as his counterpart. And so it's interesting to see now that you have a Hollywood Brown, now that you have a couple more guys, you got your quarterback locked in Arizona. What will happen when he comes back in week 7, and what will they be able to do? So those are my top 5, my honorable mentions. Dub, any comments? You got any problem with anybody I put in
Man,
that top 5?
it's so hard. Now, I neglected the fact to add Devonte Adams. As soon as you said Devonte Adams, I wanted to grab an egg and just hit it on my face.